Saseni, welcome back to the Koi Element. Welcome back to the 20% in the East. And thank you for watching the first episode and the introduction episode. Thank you for all the comments, for their supporting me, and those who are yet to watch the first one. Just just the link is there. Go watch it and enjoy. So we're in the second episode, part 1, episode 2. Yes, let's start.
Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
I hope you watched the videos on Instagram at TKE Creates or the Koi Element. That is Apple. Didn't watch Apple, the specific titles and everything. But so for part 1, ideally it was just like an introduction to the ESC because I kind of found out hiyo time nilienda attachment ESC when I went for my attachment in the ESC. For those who don't understand Kiswahili, the people uko home were just asking me ESC nini, like what is ESC? Is it ESCC, that one for anti-corruption, blah blah blah, or is it? They were not really connecting how is of it well, maybe with I don't know if it was mentioned in social studies in primary or in high school, but most people keep asking me, oh, ESC nini, now I have to explain a whole history, a whole unajua country sita, so we are forming a regional, it's like AU but like a sub regional organization, something like that. So I always have to explain that. So that's this first part was important, was just like to show you guys, or that introduction to what actually is ESC. So ESC stands for the East African Community. So to the wacha tu niwaambie what is going to be in the episode. Just a slight overview, vision, core values, objectives, small history about it, the partner states, some little facts and figures, who is the head of this state, how the cooperation is, some of the meaning of those things like treaty, protocols that we mentioned last time. Just a small one, a short one. I know last time nilisema ni short, but that was the introduction and it had a lot, so that's why it was that long. But this is going to be so short. Sijali, the introduction to even the other ones are going to be deeper. They're going to be short so that your concentration span tunajua tu concentrating sana. So yeah. So ESC, the East African Community, and so it's made up of 6 partner states so far. We have Kenya, of course. We have Rwanda. We have Burundi. We have South Sudan, the newest member. We have Tanzania, and then Uganda. So these 6 states zinakuja pamoja, then they form the East African Community. Why the East African? Because it's on the eastern side of the African continent. That's why. So kitambo, we had the East African Corporation. There's like a long history there. Before ilikuwa just tripartite. Tripartite namaanisha 3. So because it was just Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. They were just cooperating and working because just barely, because they were neighbors and they shared a common history, languages, people, as I had mentioned, watu, the communities, that everything they were sharing together. So there was that cooperation already going on. Then they decided in 1967 to form the East African Corporation. Already they were nini, walikuwa na cooperate in a myriad of fields, like which is a trade, customs, whatever, which is a railway. Actually, I have those things here. But stand up for details mingi, because these materials, you can get them on the net. You can get these documents that I have here and read like in detail. But this is just to at least kuku propel the wind of some of it if you want to know more about it. So cooperation imekuwa, there's that railway thing, the railway between Kenya, Uganda, 1897 in Customs Collection Center in 1905. Same money, okay. Customs 1917. Then the East African High Commission, 1947 and 1961. And then the East African Common Service Organization, nitaonyesha hizi vitu zote honestly if you want to know more details. But there was that whole cooperation. Then in 1967 they formed the East African Corporation. Now like legit sailia kabisa. Before ilikuwa just because we are neighbors and the same history, same people, same things. Then something happened. But I wasn't born in that time. Jo kuna watu wanataka niwaambie details kabisa. Actually mimi sikuwa nimezaliwa time. Mimi nilizaliwa 1998. So hata hizi vitu it's just you get told by your mentors and your tutors now the legit stories apart from reading in the books and everything. Then now in 1977 is when it collapsed. Now I hear a lot of stories about this incident. Some very not good words were exchanged between countries. It's almost like the backbone of why these always before I hope going forward things it a change, but before there's always that tension between Kenya and Tanzania. It's going back to that period. Stuff happened there. Things went down there, and it collapsed. Some of the reasons because they were, I don't know, they were like an imbalance unapata Kenya. It was said Kenya was like benefiting more of all the three countries, and there wasn't any efforts to correct that imbalance. We also had very different political, let's say, ideology, because Kenya ideally was kind of capitalistic. Uganda, no, Tanzania almost like kujamaa, so there's that. There were those differences in how they conduct politically, how they do their things, how they carry themselves out. So there was also those differences. So unakuta watu wana brushiana mahali here there. A couple of reasons. Yeah, also this one kwanza hii ilikuwa naisikia sana history, lack of strong political commitment, no goodwill, no hawatu hawako committed, like they are half in half there. When it's time to bring in their contributions, some countries don't do it. Some countries don't agree in maybe some agreement or some project they were going to do earlier. There's also this thing of multiple membership. I think that was okay. That might be kind of recent, but it's where you find Kenya or a country or Uganda, Tanzania, whatever, any country is in ESA. It's also in COMESA. It's also in SADC. It's also, all that. It's confusing, and it's because there's also obligations to these other ones. So I don't know. It kind of makes it lose sense. That's yeah. So hakuna hiyo commitment and loyalty to this one because there's all that one. So that's even like a recurring problem at a size. But then the collapse and nini. So later on, they reformed it. They got back together, of course, as in we are a region. No, bado tutarudi tu pamoja, those problems, the challenges. At first, it was hard to reconcile and everything, but pole pole, different heads of state, nini zikaenda zikichange, and they decided and they signed. They now decided to form now the East African Community, where they established a treaty. So, what is a treaty? A treaty. That's a very good question. I have here the actual treaty of the East African Community. And the first pages, they actually in Article 1. Article 1, it's just for interpretation. Oh, wait, can you see? Yeah. So they have a couple of terms where they tell you what it means. So nini, so that when you read the treaty, you like understand what exactly they're talking about. Partner states, what the judge or private sector protocol registrar, what all this means in connection to the treaty and everything and its content. So for the treaty, yeah, they just say for this document, treaty means this treaty establishing the East African Community and any annexes and protocols thereto. But ideally, a treaty is just technically formally concluded and a binding. Some of you might not understand what, because it's new to the IR, but it's really easy because we have these agreements even with other big organ like UN, like AU, but it's like formally concluded and agreed agreements. formally concluded and agreed and ratified agreements. These are terms. You know, the thing is, sitaki kutumia hizi words ngumu ngumu for now, because you can get them and I'll be sharing their meanings and now if you want to really talk in that talk. But it's just like an agreement that these partner states agree to, and it's binding, and there are consequences if you break the treaty or the agreement, or there even sometimes some people refer to it as a covenant. And yeah, that's basically it, and it's an important document, very important. It can also be enforced, can be enforced by a court, you know. But it's like a formal agreement, and they sign and all that is done. Let me actually show you here. I think, is it this one that, I don't know if it's this one. You look at this, and those signatures over there. Yeah, so I remember a couple of weeks ago before I started filming, I used to post this questionnaires or questions on my social media at the Queer Element on Instagram. I asked just basic questions. What does EAC mean? About the flag, about the EAC flag, about the EAC anthem, but the EAC organs, some institutions, what this means, some various small things about the facts and figures, the population. So it was interesting getting the results. I found out that most people don't really know. Now when you go deeper into like the organs and the institutions, there's also that confusion. There's the non-state actors. And the biggest one, which actually I'll admit before Ninge EAC, I also did not know, was the East African Community Anthem. The anthem. So I remember when I was there, because when we had these meetings, virtual or otherwise, or physical or whatever, we will sing, and it was so embarrassing because sikuwa najua. But then I made sure I learned it. I knew how it came about, the whole, the whole everything, kila kitu about the anthem, and it's so beautiful. I have the choral one where it's like a choir singing. Ni poa sana. It's really good. Also about the flag and all that. So before going into that, because I saw that was something big about the EC and the what ajui kabisa. Actually kuna nilieka like you fill in the gaps. Nothing. The first verse, nothing. No one can even guess. Just okay, only one person, Anna. I know you're watching this. Anna is the only one who got it right. The rest, hata muliskip, hamku attempt. So before going into that, we have the East African. Now going to the structure. We have the East African organs, the main organs, and we have the institutions, and those are different. And we also have the non-state actors. I remember also I questioned people on that because there's, you know, which is where. So the organs are around like six. Is it six? Okay, let's name them. We have the summit. We have the Secretariat, we have the Council of Ministers, we have IALA, IALA is the East African Legislative Assembly, we have the East African Court of Justice, we have the Coordination Committee, I think we also have the sectoral committees. No, let me check. No, it's good to refer kwa hizi vitu. Sitaki kuwaambia uongo. Sitaki kuwaambia uongo. Yeah, I think it's those. The summit, why mainly it's consisted of the heads of state, and the latest time we have was actually this year, 27th February this year. I remember I was at the ESA when that was happening. It was 27th February this year. It's when the chairmanship was handed over to us, to Kenya, and also the SG. Now, okay, so the chairperson of ESA now is Uhuru Muigai. His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the SG is, what was his name? I think it was Dr. or Honorable Dr. Peter Mathuki, Honorable Dr. Peter Mathuki, the SG, also from Kenya. But yeah, doesn't mean Atisa ni wa Kenya, but he's from Kenya. I think he was the former boss at the East African Business Council. If I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, niambe if I'm wrong. So yeah, those are that's the last one. I think it was called the 21st Ordinary Summit of the East African Community Heads of State. I have some little document over there. So then you have the Council of Ministers. So this is basically a policy organ of the community, where it consists of ministers responsible for the cooperation of each partner states and coordination of the also ministers and ministers. We also have the coordinating committee, and this is also interesting. Kuna vile how this works with this, how this gets information from here ingine nini, how they, I'll explain. So we have the coordinating committee, which consists of the permanent or the principal secretaries of each state who are responsible for the regional coordination in each partner state and all that. We also have the sectoral committees created by the Council of Ministers to oversee sectoral implementations. And programs in those sectors. I think they mean like the various areas of cooperation in the sectors, the programs there. Then you have each of the committees was appointed, created by the Council of Ministers, the main policy organ. Then you have the Secretariat, which is the executive organ of the community, headed by the SG, Honorable Dr. Peter Maduki. I think it's seated in TZ in Arusha. Yeah. So there's that. You also have the East. Okay, this is something important to say. The SG is appointed by the summit upon nomination by a partner state on principle of rotation, just like the presidents. When rotation says it, before it was Kagame, President Paul Kagame. Now it's Huru. Next, I guess it will be Burundi. I think it's Burundi. So the president will for Burundi at that time. And for the chairperson or the one who heads the EAC for the heads of state goes for 2 years, 2 years each. SG it's for 5 years, the period. Then we have so the SG, he or she is the principal executive officer and accounting officer of the community and the secretary of the summit, the one we talked about, and performs other duties that may be assigned to him or her by the summit. Now, then the East African Legislative Assembly. I think I knew this one before going to the EAC or even hearing about the EAC in detail. So EALA. What is EALA? No. EALA, the East African Legislative Assembly. It's the legislative organ of the government. It's like the parliament. It's just a parliament, not for EAC. It has those members and in a function by the parliament, just a parliament like in your country, be it in Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, everywhere. It's just it's the legislative organ of the community, and it also works and coordinates together the national assemblies of each partner state. But it was interesting. I remember when we were having the induction, there was a certain gentleman who talked to us about Yala and how you should know these people, because not like in the normal parliament, your MPs and they how they're representing you, and you should also know these people who are representing your country there, because it's like a parliament, and that's where the decisions are made, that's where the policies are made. These people, they do all that, and you don't even know who's representing you there. Remember, because he asked us who was there before, who is there currently, and all that. So it was interesting. But I would like to know more about that, because you can even run for to be a member of the Yala for Kenya, or wherever you are for Uganda. Okay, I'm going to refer to Kenya so much because I'm in Kenya right now, and I've not really traveled to the other countries in detail. I think the first time I was out of Kenya was when now the EAC Youth Ambassador trip went to Tanzania, and we just went to one place. We didn't like tour the whole country. So later upper Kenya, I'm most familiar with just Nakuru here home and Nairobi, and now there's a whole other land out there. Now the rest of Kenya, and now the rest of the East African community, now the rest of Africa. So maybe one day I'll get to travel, and so that I know these places in detail, not just reading. Because when you engage with something, just like see, when I got at ile just a small taste ile, not just ya juju, just to like ile a deeper taste, you get interested and you almost become attached. Now look at me, I'm here talking about ESC on YouTube. Ah, okay. Now let's go to the other one, was the the last one, the East African Court of Justice. So yeah, the ESCJ. I remember the first thing that comes to mind when I think of ESCJ, nakumbuka hiyo time when there was the whole ICJ, the International Criminal ICC court thing in Kenya, and how they were saying, why are we going outside when we can do it here? We have the ESCJ, we have the Supreme Court here in Kenya, blah blah blah. I remember that was the first time I had that name, but I really never, went to explore it much. And yeah, it can also be, remember when we were talking about the protocols, we were talking about the treaty. You can also other diplomatic agreements, if you, and other MOUs that I've just remembered because kuna project tulikuwa tunafanya, and how you find these diplomatic approaches can when and to solving problems. Some of the downside, like some countries can talk, they say they won't do it and nothing will happen to them, so you can use a court to enforce. So an example I think was the ESCJ and some other nini. But yeah, it's the judicial body of the East African community. There's a lot there. Honestly, mystery to the law, but it's interesting. It's a lot. I remember there's a friend of mine, Steven. Think amefanya law, maybe yes, siku moja atatuambia hizo vitu zote. But it's important to know, even me, though I'm clueless right now, I just know the basics. But it's important. Now, the East African Court of Justice. Now, in the treaty, hizi stuff zote, the organs that I've just mentioned, they actually have their chapters. Now, let me just show you. Why not? You see, chapter what? Nini, the summit, the what? Who look at all this? Akina Yala na ESCJ. I'll do it like last time. I'll put the video up on TKE Creates, like showing you all this. But for the ESJ, the various articles, which is the roles of the court, the judges, the tenure, the judgment of the court, the executive, the executions of the judgment, the registrar of the court, and other stuff. Honestly, the seat of the court. I'm really not familiar with ESCJ, and I want to, and now we're going to be. The yellow also membership functions of the assembly, secretariat, the nini. Yeah. So that's basically the organs. I hope Meshika, you can go just read more about them, and if you have any questions, and if you also see somewhere within me, if I learn anything new, I'll just come and share it here. No problem.